just speaking as a selector,
Yeah.
watching a game, Gaurav, is a very draining experience because you're living each and every ball. It's like you're playing for both teams and captaining both teams and coaching both teams and managing both teams.
Up-
So you go back home and you need some time to unwind, from that entire
No, listen, absolutely.
decibel level in your head.
Not only have you, of course, played cricket for India,
Mhm.
your legacy. It's a family business for you, isn't it? Because your dad is one of the most revered characters,
Mhm.
not only in Mumbai cricket but in India cricket. Everyone from Sunny Gavaskar to Sachin Tendulkar to Rohit Sharma,
Mhm.
he's had a hand to play in the development of all of them.
Yeah, I think it kind of runs in the family, the passion for the game.
Yeah. And
A-
scouting and
and
creating
scouting,
talent.
and I think I'm a big fan of these old school minds, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
And I've seen all of this transpiring, in front of my eyes. Be it Sachin as a 11, 12, 13, 14-year old, Rohit Sharma as an immensely talented Mumbai batsman, Sanjay Manjrekar as somebody who my father thought the world of as a player. And so there's a lot of strategic planning involved in there was a lot of strategic planning involved in whatever he did when he saw something in a cricketer.
Yeah. So while previous cricketers, have a lot of them have gone off to be entrepreneurs and successful businessmen and done other things,
Sure.
in the sporting ecosystem. From what I remember, you're the only one and probably the first one who got into a proper corporate setup
Yep.
to do that, right?
Yep.
So you had already been dabbling in a bit of sports marketing
Yes.
before that,
Yes.
individually,
Yes.
personally, a couple of years. You
Yes.
had done that,
Yes.
and then this Nike job comes and you do it, and it's so amazing because, like they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Correct.
You're doing exactly the same job because I remember meeting you, domestic circuit, you're traveling around trying to sign up young talents
Yep.
for Nike bats.
Yes, exactly.
One of the first things that you did, which is in 2007, 2008, in your stint with Nike in India, was that you signed Virat Kohli up
Yeah.
for Nike. He had a Nike bat.
So Nike had only Srishant,
Hmm.
as a cricket athlete, and I thought that's
For a bat.
no. I mean that's at that time there wasn't a thought for a Nike bat.
Yeah.
It was just footwear. Build the best cricket shoes, that kind of stuff, and you have a roster which has only S Srishant on it.
Yeah.
And that's an extremely dangerous situation to be in. It scared the daylights out of me. So, so I tapped into my coaches network and started going and watching a lot of players. And Virat was one of them. I watched ahead of an India under-19 camp, and I thought that this guy has something in his eyes. There is a hunger. There's a confidence.
This is pre-World Cup?
This is pre under-19 World Cup.
Okay.
So Virat Kohli it was my first signing, and then I think the very next day, Tanmay Srivastav was the next signing. Again, a very good player who's now coming back into his own in Ranji Trophy cricket. Damn good player. So these were the two signings for Nike at
Yeah.
that time.
I also remember you used to pretty much just walk around with contracts at the time, right?
I used to have contracts in my backpack with with name with name left empty, amount left empty, and term left empty. I
Yeah.
was because at that time competition had all the big players, and I said, okay, fine, we'll go and look, and we'll get the guys who are not big tomorrow but day after tomorrow.
That's amazing. This is, of course, in your time with Nike,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is in India,
yeah.
and then you're a selector with the team.
Just speaking as a selector,
Yeah.
watching a game, Gaurav, is a very draining experience because you're living each and every ball. It's like you're playing for both teams and captaining both teams and coaching both teams and managing both teams. So you go back home and you need some time to unwind, from that entire
No, listen, absolutely.
decibel level in your head.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely you
Yeah.
do. And you're watching, like when you're scouting and when you're doing this, and why we say it's a thankless job, because you're pretty much on the road.
Yeah.
Like, so people will see all the glamorous part of you
yeah.
now with the selected team.
Yeah.
But there's so much that goes into this well-oiled machine. You're
Absolutely.
traveling to some absolute dust bowls,
Yeah.
watching matches that nobody is
Yeah,
watching.
yeah.
Just to see maybe two balls of a certain player that you've heard about. So tell us about the scouting system in India just a little bit, because I don't think people know enough about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize how well oiled, well planned
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah. So I think the way the correct approach is to identify players who will fit into teams into the team from a succession planning perspective, and go and watch each of these players multiple times in the year, so you can watch them across a plethora of circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, so for example, last week I was there just to watch one left arm seamer. That how will he do on a certain wicket and against a certain batting lineup. So there's a lot of distilling of numbers, and then go and watch each of this talent in different circumstances. And it's not only about going to a game and watching Gaurav Kapoor bat.
Hmm.
It's about watching Gaurav Kapoor field. It's about watching Gaurav. How does he come in from the bus onto the ground? What's his body
Wow.
language when they are doing a fielding session?
Yeah.
What's his body language after Gaurav Kapoor has got out of the first ball and his partner is batting 150?
Yeah.
Is he enjoying that success, or is he at least pretending to enjoy that success,
Yeah.
or is he sitting aloof somewhere else? So there are so many markers, and we at least I look at a player through so many lenses, and that helps me form an opinion about a player essentially. Here it's being a selector is also extremely complex job, because A, you have to convince yourself about a talent, and B, you've got to convince four other stakeholders.
Yeah.
And C, you've got to then build a bridge with the team management to understand what they want to do,
Yeah.
from a roadmap perspective, and where does a particular player feature in that framework.
And then D, you've got to handle Twitter and 1 billion cricket experts.
Correct.
Then who have you selected?
Absolutely, and it's like it's a thankless job. It's like a wicket keeper's job.
You're so right.
You've got to catch everything because you have gloves.
Yeah.
And when you don't catch anything, people say, how can you not catch it? You've got gloves.
It's so amazing because Deep Dasgupta said the same thing. He said that you never notice a wicketkeeper when he does well. You only notice a wicketkeeper when he does something bad.
Absolutely.
When he drops something.
And look at the great keepers throughout the years, right?
Yeah.
You never noticed a Kirmani.
Yeah.
You never noticed a Bob Taylor.
Yeah.
You never noticed a Wasim Bari. You never noticed them.
Yeah.
They used to do their job.
Yeah.
And that is like they say, no news is the best news. That's
Correct.
It applies to keepers as well.
Really, and to selectors.
Correct. And to selectors.
Keepers and selectors.
Absolutely.
For many more stories like this, join me on 22 Yarns, a Spotify original.